Boom.
Hi, ladies. Welcome to Authenticity on the Soulology Network. I am so honored to have you on the show today. I was so looking forward to talking to you, Ruth. I am so grateful. I do want to let everybody know that you are the author of Diamond Matrix Masters. You have DNA, you do DNA activations, quantum love training. You're a diamond healer. You have a YouTube channel. You are a filmmaker and now a podcast speaker. And I'm sure there's many, many more that you can tell us to add to that beautiful bio. I just wanted to let everybody know that I believe it was about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 4, my daughter was trying to figure out what to buy me for a gift for my birthday. And she said, I have something very special for you, Mom. I'm really trying to be thoughtful this year. And she surprised me with your book.
Oh,
I know. And ever since that day, I thought, I hope someday that I get to thank her in person. And here you are. So thank you.
oh, thank you. That was a precious surprise.
Yes. Now, I want to give the floor to you because we only have an hour, and I want to not only learn maybe something that I haven't yet or aware of. And the conversation that we had on the phone yesterday was exactly where I feel many of us on the forefront are at, that may be confused or have some questions. And so I thought this would be perfect during this eclipse window for us to cover exactly what we talked about. So, Ruth, of course, I do want you to introduce your beloved partner.
I will.
So go ahead, tell us more, Ruth. What can we expect from Ruth and is it Whitney?
It's Whitney. Yes.
Oh, right.
Okay, so yes, Diamond Matrix Masters has been going on for some years because I initiated into Diamond about 10 years ago. And it was like before we were even talking about the diamond and the rainbow energies and things like that. And I know that, Todd and this crowd have been doing this for a long time as well. So we've all been initiating up into the new earth consciousness and that's rolled out. So my part in it was to activate people's diamond light bodies and actually initiate them into the 5D consciousness. And that's why I actually wrote this book. So it's Diamond Matrix Masters Self-Mastery Level 1. And it's still as relevant today because its finale ends us up with our triune being relationship, okay, to our own soul source that keeps us upright on our feet. So it's sort of like we're not seeking it, we are it,
Right.
And so our triune being is the divine feminine, divine masculine, divine inner child, which brings and extends not only our own creation as self, but into the new architecture of the new earth living inside of us. And so I always spoke on, this is just level 1. Okay, this is just how to function as a living creator and to come into ownership of being a creator source. But with so much to learn, and what would level 2 look like, I don't know. But I knew that as we were initiating in through the opening of the heart center and coming up and in, that we would learn what that is. Well, 2 years ago, this amazing activation happened around the 8th of August, I think, which was Lionsgate 2021. And unbeknown to me, this amazing being and I ignited into our twin flame journey. And it created, we didn't actually meet for some months after that, but it was like it created great disturbances in the force and changed my life from living in Australia into Canada, Vancouver Island. So we've been working daily and moment to moment in our twin flame essences and coming into more and more of the inner architecture. So with that note, I'd like to just introduce Whitney Whitney Merritt has Holism Health. Okay, so you can look her up online. She does amazing bridging. So we both have these synchronicities that we bridge people through and into the new. So it's amazing, and she can share a little bit of that as well. But this woman is incredulous, and it's an honor to actually be partnered with her and working with her. So today for us is kind of a launch. We've had to come to the place that we're coming out and coming out as twin flames. So it's kind of hilarious.
I'm so honored to have you come out on my show. Is this the first time?
No, so we've been working together for like a long time, but at the same time, I don't mean coming out necessarily as a gay couple, because we've always been that, but at the same time, it's this new, next level of consciousness. And then we are launching and have made a living commitment now to share the twin flame stories and codings and what we've been up to and how it actually works, so that people can go, this is for real. It's not just puddling around in relationships and struggling in, challenging behaviors. This is living architecture and coding that's going on moment to moment within our bodies.
Ruth, if I may, how would you say you recognize that this is a twin flame relationship?
Well, I'm going to hand it over to Whitney, because she's way better at this type of thing. Okay, so we're going to sort of do a bit of a tag team today to get this.
Perfect, because I know that there's much confusion around this.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
because the inner journey and the inner twin flame must come first.
That's right. So just following up on what Ruth said, like the triune being, so the divine feminine, divine masculine, divine holy child, like that is the essence of our inner herogamic union.
Right.
And that along the journey is what comes first. So as we're working our way up, from the lower density, of course, we're all one. It's not separated. It's always exchanging information and our true original coding. But in the past, as we all know, we've worked, our way out of duality. So I too have been doing a lot of healing work with people for, 15 to 20 years. And this is the good news about this time now, is what used to take, let's say 12 sessions as an example, is sometimes just a shift. So 12 minutes, even 12 seconds. And so this is the opportunity that we have. And I do like Ruth's book on this, because this has come through an inner vision as well. So it's like an hourglass. And so these would be like the lower dimensions. And here we are as our heart center rising up into the highest. It's not separated. And so that's what we've been doing, is working our way out of those lower to represent the higher. So with that in mind, like in your question about recognizing a twin flame, a lot of times, let's say like even 10 or 20 years ago, it wasn't as relevant, because we were all working our inner journey to come out of the duality and to come out of our karma. So when we're fully engaged with emotion, that's a barometer for karma. So emotion is that seeming separation from source. So if we want to come to our own inner divine union, we have to be clear of those vibrations to move into the high frequency of what we actually truly are divinely designed to be. And so that's kind of the essence of it. And, and it's not, like I said, again, I really want to emphasize that we're all here coming in. We all know this. We all have this coded into, our biology and our cosmic biology and everything that we are from a sacred sense. And so there's a recognition. But I will say we're going to go into some more detail on the stages and the understanding of the phases. And we've understood ours a little bit more in hindsight. So it's sort of looking back, we walk through the organic journey and then we go, oh, that's what happened. Oh, that's what I was living. So probably back to you on that point.
So there's a lot of confusion about it at the moment. And so this is what we were hoping to disseminate this information today so that we can get on the same page. And also it helps us to make real changes that's okay for all parties. So let's share a reading which is absolutely precious about what twin flames is, because if we can start from the top of how precious it is, then we can actually then fill out some of those misnomers and add true to it.
So again, in practical terms, like the coding for this new earth, the new consciousness, it's been seeded within our beings, of course, and within all of creation. And so this is a book of Saint Germain and Portia's twin flame union. So it's a lovely representation of why we even share in the first place. So we're going to bring it into practical terms as we're carrying on through this talk. But really the union of the one, back to exactly what you said, Anna, is your own hierogamic union.
Right.
Then when the duality, when that agony is cleared up, and we all, part of the agony is to finish that, because we know what we're actually here for, is to come into the true union that is available for all. So even, in the times of Saint Germain or Portia, or say Yeshua and Mary, these codes were seeded in the earth. And it's familiar. It's like the ley lines. It's the frequencies that we know that are in our body that we're meeting internally and externally, where we can actually switch on to, operate from the higher consciousness like that. So this one is just lovely. It's actually called Twin Flames in Service to Humanity. So we'll just read a little bit of the excerpt. So what one, even we got married recently, and, it was like my first reading was to everyone that joined us. Mm-hmm. And it was like, our union is for all. Like, we're very lucky, in quotations, that we get to live this journey. It's an honor and a privilege, but it's for every single one of us. So
how beautiful. Thank you.
Absolutely. So
we're really paving the way for us all.
It's an absolute honor to share on every level. So this is just what we wrote. The union of the one soul is really for the all. And then we'll move into a little bit what the book says here. So it says, the conscious drawing together of twin flames serves not only the twin flame pair, but serves humanity from the perspective of simultaneously being humanity's twin flame as well. Sharing the vision of serving humanity from the perspective of seeing and being both flames simultaneously in union. When the twin flame energies come together in a conscious way in order to bring about enormous benefit for all humanity, all beings, animate and inanimate, indeed the entire planet, the omniverse, there is a generation and magnification of energy as it comes into alchemical union. A critical mass is generated. We love this part. Similar to the point just before a star dies into supernova and births new stars, galaxies, and universes. A broad spectrum of light frequency goes out as cosmic waves, interpenetrating space and all the particles within it. Some of these frequencies are of a higher, more harmonious expression of light, sound, color. And the more that you tune in and embody, like this is what we're here for, embodying the higher frequencies, the easier it will be for you to pass through the dying, so the old duality, and the birthing process of the cosmic twin flame union available to all. The earth and humanity have crossed enough of the dissonant thresholds to begin to tip the scales. So back to the good news. It only requires a relatively few who are matching the frequencies with that of their twin flame consciousness to create the critical mass. It's very much like untwisting a spindle that's bringing in what's out, untying and untying the binding knots of separation. allowing what is passing away to gracefully leave our grasp, while welcoming what is emerging from the void, the source of all that is.
Ah, how beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is so beautiful.
Yeah, it is so gracious, you know. A lot of us have been focused on what we call, you know, shadow work. So it's shadow work, shadow work, shadow work, shadow work. And we're kind of the opposite in that we're saying, come into more, operate over your coast, awaken your coast, because the shadow will come up and pass so gracefully out of our system. It's like, oh, yes, I feel like this. Then we'll bridge it very quickly. Off she goes, and we become the more. It's amazingly beautiful, and I think that will help people to make it easier. You know, don't be so hard on ourselves.
Ruth,
Already
were
here.
you saying that even at this level of your relationship and embodiment, you have shadow work continuously coming in as well?
Yes. Well, okay. Let's ease on the darkness and the density of what shadow work is. It is that, you know, sure. And it's the hidden that's going to be revealed, as Whitney always says. But at the same time, it comes up and goes, oh, I've got something going on. You know, I'm feeling triggered on this. What is it? Where does it come from? And we just quickly clear it. And then, so most of our work has been individual, but with each other, just helping each other in those moments that something comes up.
Yeah, I'd like to just, if you don't mind, Anna, just for a second, because
Go ahead.
what happens is, you know, of course, you know, we're whole and complete, but these signals come up, right? So in my training, I'm trained in Chinese medicine and homeopathy, and I've blended, you know, a lot of the ancient methods together. But a symptom, and it's mental, emotional, physical, even spiritual, is when we think that we're separate. So what happens, it's actually a really elegant dance, is the own divine innate being comes over and has this dance with the subconscious mind to bring that to the surface. So if we understand that we don't have to be, you know, scared of that, even though it's an old vibration of the emotion, which is the separation, it's actually wanting to just come home back into the wholeness. And so that's kind of what Ruthie is saying, that it moves, that frequency just burns it through more quickly. And we have the tools to do it, you know, to sort of expedite, because we understand. So.
Well, and that's what I felt, that it was really important, because people have these maybe perhaps expectations. As we know, we're dropping expectations. But when people get caught up in the twin flame stories and partnerships and having that union, we really don't know until we're in it. I mean, like you're exampling now that you're walking this together. And it helps to have clarity on some of what is occurring within this union. So that, because if it's not always roses and peaches all day long, the other person is, are they going to say, well, this is not them then? This can't possibly be them if we're having this come up. And so that's why I asked that question.
Great question.
I think it might be a good time to go into the differentiation of those three roles that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Because this is, people are doing, their utter best. We're so proud of everyone. And we recognize those that are within our soul shield groups and that, which we'll talk about later. But there's three roles. And they're very important agreements. They're not just soul contracts. Soul contracts are just those contracted to live incarnational lives with us, playing out roles which help us to learn from. So now we're finishing with all of that. We're actually just signing them off they go. We don't have to live that. The three roles that are actually incredible agreements burned into our hearts, carried in our heart centers, have incredible and immense love. And when seen from the God self-presence, unconditional love in complete wholeness and harmony. But the idea of each of the roles is to come into full equality, which means one is not less than another, okay? And that karma is completed. And so we come into the fullness of our signatures. But what I didn't realize and had turned up almost all at once, okay, after that time, was that we have a soulmate, and the soulmate is that divine, beautiful being contracted to me in that sense, or agreement to me, to help me come out of karma. So if I'm injured or wounded by someone, and and it becomes obvious that we've done a lot of incarnational lives together and that we've slaughtered each other and done all sorts of things to each other, which actually needs healing, so that we can come into equality of God space. We have to become that whole sensitive source. So that is needing to be dealt with. So the soulmate is definitely a karmic relationship to get us off the grid, okay, out of the old consciousness and into the new. The second one is a twin soul. Again, highly attractive. It's like just wanting to connect in a sense, but there's so much misinterpretation about it. What we've come to understand is the twin souls are like these massive lights wanting to come together, and it's actually introducing the greater concept of the twin flame. So the twin soul is an extraordinary connection, able to introduce the greater aspect of the twin flame. Now, in this time, with less karma and shadow, if anything, really, it's quite clean. But knowing that we could have been doing amazing things together. But that time is finished now, because we're in an expedited ascension, rapid evolution, thank you. And it is now not necessarily to have that agreement fulfilled. And so it's actually igniting a lot faster the twin flames, which are coming together on this time to do exactly what Whitney just read out before. So if people are actually experiencing really a great deal of hardship, and that with the twin, with a soulmate, they have to do the karma surrounding that. And it's very interesting. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know I had karma with my soulmate, okay, until I got this knowing, and we had to move on into the twin flame, which I hadn't even heard of before. And it was like, what is all this? So it's been quite a journey, but I can absolutely see with everything that I've had to heal or consolidate, I prefer the word consolidate, okay, bringing from the subconscious of past lives, etc., and into the wholeness that we can actually be working together as one. And we also know that with the twin flame side, that we actually don't have karma. We're actually, yes, something pops up in me about my life and what I've experienced, but I actually haven't had anything other than infinite love from Whitney. We don't have games and manipulations. Okay, we only have attentiveness to, okay, bring it up, Bridget, bring it up, Bridget, bring it up, Bridget. So we're actually on the mark and in the actions of a loving relationship that has expansion only involved. So some of those things that people say, that twin flames bring you loss or whatever, we're just not really quite believing that.
And like you said, it's confusing, Anna. So for us, we've both of us have gone through soulmate, twin soul to the twin flame catalyst, experience, but we didn't have the conscious knowing of it as we're going through. And so there's overwhelming sensations, because ultimately it's trying to burn everything off to bring you into what Ruthie's mentioning about, like, the pure unconditional reflection of only the divine. So if we just take it from a reflection point of view, the soulmate holds up a mirror, and it's a gift, like, it's by design to say, hey, these things need processing, right? And we experience that with one another, and it's still based in love, right? Because we're experiencing that reflection. So that is the emotion and the karma and the pain that dissolves through that relationship. And also not saying that that's an easy process, right?
I was in a
Yeah.
almost 27-year
Yeah.
relationship with a soulmate who was a karmic mirror and I am so grateful and love him unconditionally
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
the service work that we both created.
Right. And I
And
feel that as soon as you say that.
because
Yeah.
yeah,
there's still in our hearts. I
Yeah.
didn't believe it because my soulmate said, I'm in your heart. And I'm going, I don't know what, nobody's in my heart, only my I am presence. And then I get my twin flame in my heart and I go, oh my God, Whitney's in my heart. And then when I did my work with the karma side of it, with my soulmate, is that it was like, oh my God, she's in my heart. So these are never going to leave us because, and this is the beauty of it. If you're going to create a Christic return, you're wanting to, this is the intelligent design of it, is that you're wanting to cover all bases just in case one doesn't quite make it or do it. So this triune setup is immaculate when you think about it. It's sort of like, so this finishes off that, this gets you off into this one ignites you knowing, this one comes in, which means every single one, the soulmate, the twin soul, and the twin flame are all doing each of those things. So each of them has a soulmate, each has a twin soul, and each has a twin flame. So we've all got capacity, if we're going to do the twin journey, to come up into being twin flame unions.
Yeah.
And that's the exciting and thrilling parts, so for your audience, don't feel left behind because it's just, there is more.
And don't feel like you have to understand it all. Like that's a really important key. We've understood it as we go along. And then back to like that second part with the twin soul, it's another mirror, but it's more of a mirror of, oh my gosh, I am divine. And you start to feel that, and then things go off in a way. Your heart's going to race. You're going to feel it in every part of your being. There's going to be an attraction on all levels. You're not sure what to do with it. But it also shows, rather than fuller shadow work, like we're saying, or the emotion or karma, little spots. And sometimes this is when the dark night of the soul kicks in, and that twin soul, it's like, well, they feel like my twin, but actually other things are still dissolving. So you move into that third mirror. And by the time, Ruthie and I came into that, we have nothing between each other except a divine reflection. And that's what we're all designed for. And like, that's the exquisite nature of it.
And that brings us into our roles and what we actually do. So I'd like to move forward on this because of time.
Sure.
With roles as twin flames, we're two parts. And it's so important for us, again, to get into our roles and to our living coding. So if you follow Ashiana teaching, which we've had to learn a whole new language on in our experience, and Whitney is excellent at this.
Yeah.
But there's two roles within the twin flame. One is the Oshi, which is the living codes all the way through to source, to the Christic architecture, the deity planes and the God worlds. The other one is the Aiden. So the Aiden is the grounder of the codes that are coming through. So we have this witness to one another. So when we're together, and I'm seriously saying together because it's like walking around with an umbilical twin, you're actually coding together and you ignite the work that you're doing at the time. And so we're like this flowering that's come together, as those codes are actually flowered and ignited, we become that two-part channel, but as one. And so this is the power of what's coming through. Now I'm going to just hand that over because I just want to drop Oceania Aiden, as we just want to drop some labeling. And
we'll get into that. So it's like an infinity loop. It's the way that energy runs. Mm-hmm. So there's an electrical and there's a magnetic, or a masculine and a feminine. So it becomes complete through the exchange. So it's like the beautiful dance by design. So like an actual twin flame, the quantum is split apart on purpose, because when we come into biology, it would be too strong for when both of us were born, and many of you guys were born, for the biology to handle it. But again, back to the most amazing good news is now, many of the things are aligned within the earth and within our beings. So these codes can come online so we can hold the quantum. So the true purpose of the twin is to have that initial splitting, even though you're still one soul, to come back together and to run that frequency together like that.
Will everyone have an opportunity to have their twin on the heaven on earth here in the new earths? Will everyone have that journey, do you feel, or
how about we say that those that have those contract agreements, actually have whether their twin is on planet or off planet, it still is activated, and we're all working throughout the realms to make it happen.
And you get to know that along the journey. So we agreed to our codes to come online in this incarnation. So some twins, like Ruthie was saying, will have one in a higher realm, or there's smaller contracts, and they're not lesser than. They're just different contracts that you can fulfill with other individuals. So it really depends back to, we always talk about this, there is no special, but there's specialty. And we each did, sign, in quotations, contracts to what we were going to do here.
Yeah, and I'm asking these questions for those who are listening and watching, because they may have that question, because I've heard brothers or sisters saying, my twin is not here in the physical. There's, they're somewhere else. And so I just wanted to clarify that, even though I may know the answer, but I feel it's important that we cover some of the bases that my audience may be curious about.
Definitely.
Thank you.
I think just while we're here, I'd like to mention, so the Oshi and the Aiden are the electrical and the magnetic, which is the divine feminine and divine masculine. You see, divine feminine and divine masculine is in all of creation. It's like there is no part where Father, Mother, God is not in the creation. So the more we realize who we are in our divinity, the coding is actually, and Whitney's going to share some of it, it is so beautiful. And the Divine Mother and the Divine Father and the Divine Inner Child are just whizzing around doing their thing, because we are a living creation expanding. And so that's what the twin coding is bringing in. So Whitney is more electric. Magnetic. You're magnetic, I'm electric. Okay, so maybe a little bit on that just for a moment. But creation just comes to life as we're actually creating.
Yeah. And then I think your question is really important too, that ultimately the inner hierogamic union is the first goal, and it's absolutely glorious. So when that occurs and you reach that state of more, at one-ment, within yourself and with all of creation, then you're naturally going to experience that everywhere you go. So what we've experienced is this sort of how we met, what you're thinking. Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting and quite surprising. So this is what Ruthie was mentioning earlier about 2 years ago. I was just doing a typical, inner visioning with myself of something I had done for 10 to 15 years. And I would travel, in nature scene and, experience all the things that I was used to. And then suddenly, and it's architecturally driven. So what we're seeing in the internal worlds are internal, eternal creation. And it's all based in sacred geometry. Even back to what Ruthie was saying, we come out of source as sound, and then light, and then the void, and then divine feminine, divine masculine, divine holy child, and we're stepping down in the creation. So what we're doing is, as we return back to source, all of these things, these seeming parts are with us, and they're within us. So in this experience of going in my journey, which was August 2 years ago, I was suddenly going to what was normal to me, and I was lifted up, literally like a dimension up, and I go into this whole other plane, which we've come to understand now. I would call it the garden originally, because I didn't know what it was. It looked like a garden, and it looked like beautiful palaces, and it had light codes and sound, and it was exquisite, and I could feel it on every part of my being. I could feel, every one of the elements. I could see Mother, Father, Holy Child. I could see the dragons. I could feel the pulsing, like the water. Like, it's indescribable. Like, what we're trying to describe is actually truly unutterable. And we've had the privilege of doing it over 2 years, where we could actually become these sacred codes. So as I moved out of that old part of my normal meditation, I was in this higher realm, and I could feel it instantly. The quality of it was different. I was light, and literally I went to like perceive myself as like a body, and I wasn't. I was just a straight light being.
And this was during meditation?
This was just during like an inner journey of just, like allowing the mind to go where it goes and with the soul. And then in this particular location, I see this other light being come toward me, and it was orbs, like about 12 light orbs and a vertical channel. And so I'm lying on the ground, and then this one comes in vertically. And I did have like somewhat of a recognition of the time. I'm not saying full conscious understanding, like what is going on, but this being actually merged my luminary body with me. And so this was the beginning of the garden, and which is actually, like we said, the deity planes, which is a middle domain, not an outer domain, form of energy that is available to every single one of us for ascension. So it has a very direct purpose. It's not just an interesting inner journey. As we go into each one of these places, which continue to unfold, and it would take us probably 2 years to explain all the exquisiteness of it, but we're all can tap into these sacred codes. So as we did that, it stayed on. And then that particular inner architectural location would shift to the next and the next and the next. And every time that we would go in. So it turned out that that light being was Ruthie.
Oh, I was going to ask that question. Who was the light being?
The light being was Ruthie. So I was it was like our higher selves on the higher planes came together, and she being an Aiden and I'm a Yoshi, that's also by contract and by design, she ignited our quantum with or without consciousness in the higher fields, and then we were absolutely switched on to what is our twin flame journey. And that way.
When you met, you lived in Canada and you lived here in the United States, Ruth?
I was actually living in Australia.
In Australia.
Yeah.
And you met, did you meet in the ethers first, or you said you did. And then in the physical, if we just could get a little snippet, did you meet online or through friends, or how did this occur?
We had a friend of ours, and you guys had all just met anyway in Vancouver, and they went to a party or something. Well, they haven't actually met. And then our friend had a dream that we were part of the Atlantis 12 advisors, back in at the cataclysm of Atlantis, and we're saying, warning, warning. Anyway, we'll keep that short. But she had dreams that we were to come together as a group and we had instant recognition, like a soul contract. It was like an instant attraction sort of thing. But at the same time, we agreed to start doing the energetic work as this group, and then we were and that's the interesting part about the twin flames. Are all just fascinated, not fascinated, they're dedicated. It's like we're doing it. And so we've always been this, we have this staggering drive for growth, and so that's what we do, and we attend to what is coming next, and I'm studying this, and it's always been the case for me. But so this actually happened, and
so it wasn't a choice to like move into a romantic thing. Like, I wasn't in a relationship. That's not what we were looking for. But our codes were just starting to, actualize and accentuate together. And the most fascinating thing about that light body coming in was the merging, and then Ruthie in her higher self form, it never changed. So I could close my eyes. We have a little dog visiting here. So I could close my eyes during the day, or I could be asleep at night in the dreams, and we were always together. So on a practical fun level, I mean, we have fun with this too. We're very serious and dedicated and driven, but it's, Ruthie's like, well, are you getting tired of me? And I'm like, well, frankly, this is strange, because back to the kind of work that we were doing before, we were generally working one-on-one with people and not necessarily used to working together. So a lot of shifts had to happen with us and how we want to bring this forward for everyone. And so she's in every single dream. I like 98% of my night dreams and probably 100% of my lucid dreams during the day. It's us. So it's a recognition of us.
When you're speaking that before you met in the physical, that she was always in your dreams, or is this even occurring now?
Oh, it's absolutely occurring now. Once it's switched on, what happens is that deity plane is then open, and we have full access to that, according to other sources we've heard, until 2047. And it is our sacred codes that allows us to do the ascension. So it's the contract that we have chosen for our sacred codes to come online. And so as a result, we're always working together on every single level.
How beautiful. Thank you for that share and explaining that a little bit for me. Ruth, you had told me that you had a video you wanted to share with us. And Todd, if he's still there, he said he would help us produce that. Do you have a video you want to share with us today?
No, I can't imagine what that genius was going to be, but I haven't got anything.
Oh, I thought you had a little 2-minute video you wanted to share with me. I don't know why I got that in our phone call. Who knows?
Well, look, we've got great creations coming together, but I'd like to have Whitney describe more of the deity planes, okay, and what we're experiencing with the garden. So, because other people are experiencing this, but we want to verbalize it so they go, oh my God, that's what
Do you want more of an intro, or do you want me to go?
No, I want you to go.
Okay, so
we're running out of time.
So again, as the Yoshi rule, we're all coming, from the highest, but these are it's an actual real place. Okay. We said outer domain, so it actually exists. And I believe it's like Aurora or Andromeda, basically it is an actual place that we were birthed out of. So when our quantum split in half to come down into physicality, some of the quantum will always stay a certain percentage in the deity plane, like that. So even as we're living, and once we complete our ascension journey, we will go to the deity plane and then move back to source. So again, a specific contract. But what it looks like is an absolute exquisite garden journey. And so the first place that we met is this round room, and it's a literal connect all the way up to source. Underneath are caves and crystal caverns. And it's not just an interesting journey for the mind. Every part of your being turns on and becomes these codes. So just like we all like mandalas and, even like the picture behind you, all these beautiful things hold a symmetry that we are, whether it's light or sound or an architectural image, we become those codes. So gradually, as we've gone through each stage of the deity plane, we have become those codes, which the ultimate purpose is to lead us closer to source in that way.
It's a mapping through the densities. So because we're, coming into like a fail-safe way through ascension, so that we can't be, absconded with or, siphoned from, this is actually keeping us safe throughout. So the different aspects, as the garden opened up and unfolded, and as our coding was coming online, what was going on was that we were coming into greater and greater aspects of ourselves. And this is actually in the tree of life within ourselves. The tree of life, not the tree of knowledge of good versus evil. This is coming back into the tree of life.
Which is direct architecture, the Kathara grid. And it's, it's much like the chakras, but it's what our original DNA blueprint is. So one's in the earth, the next one is in like the pelvic floor, each of the hips, right. So it's a very real thing. So as we would travel and experience these aspects of the garden, we could feel where it was, like this is the inner sanctum. So there's a heart section. So we're experiencing what is internal creation into our external body. And it's exquisite. So again, we are trying to utter the unutterable.
We can have more time. There's not another show coming on Soology until later
Okay.
this afternoon, so we're not tied to that hour.
Okay.
We can go up to an hour and a half. It's really up to you two.
Okay.
I don't want you to feel rushed, and I do want the audience to receive your message.
Okay. Okay.
So please don't feel rushed.
All right. So basically in the journey, which we travel together. So meeting Ruthie in this, what I call the circular room that has a blue flame generator. Everything is sacred. It had 12 pillars around, and every part of the architecture was living and breathing. It looked like marble, but you could feel it in your body. You could feel it in, your feet and your hands and your heart and your brain, like all of this inner architecture opening up in the experience. And so the very first time I saw these 12 beings sitting around, like, again, a little bit light orbs, a little bit like a being. Mm-hmm. And I, approached them, and, I'm still not sure the exact configuration of what they are, whether it's our 12 higher selves or whether it's just representing like a symmetry. But nonetheless, the orbs responded back to us and said, "We're here. You're not quite ready for us." So to give you an example of a progression, then we would come back in and we would enter that same part of the garden together in the higher worlds and with full conscious participation together in life. So we would actively go in together, even when Ruthie was in Australia, and have the experience. And then ultimately at one point, those beings stood up and also merged with us. And then we would stand around the circular building, and they said, "You do not." So we were standing below in the grassy portion of the deity in the garden, and they said, "You stand with us. You are us." So then we would stand up in this architectural, beautiful dome leading straight to source with full records, of our true origin. And we would be looking out, and we could see thousands of people and beings and animals and plants, and everything is there. It's so hard to describe because it has all the layers of light, sound, code, and feeling. But all of these beings would be coming in and actually on some level experiencing the codes that we were in that particular place. Can you take over?
Do you visit this place daily together?
Yeah, because we're living that place daily.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I mean, I was just completely in there with you just now. I could visualize and feel what you're speaking, and the truth of it. It's so beautiful that you get to experience this together.
It's a privilege, Anna. Like, it absolutely is. And that is just almost like the introduction to the first place that we went. So we could describe about, 20 other aspects to it. And that's where it's just, deciding on that level of sharing. But ultimately, these are the codes that people can.
Absolutely. So that's part of our work now. And that's why we've had to change over from what we were doing before into the ability and offering people to have their Christic essences read and grounded in, so that they can then springboard off that moment. So we're actually doing that now, plus offering a lot of this teaching around it. This is a mapping. It's actually going through the densities within your body. When it will take you on a journey through, you'll actually be able to kind of look down through yourself and go, "Oh, I've come up into the next density within yourself." So it's like extraordinary, to actually.
Well, I know that many of us are feeling this lifting. Like, I will be sitting down, but actually it feels like I'm raising from my chair, and then I'll acknowledge that I feel like I'm up, and then I'll go back down. And it happens all day long. And one of our beloved sisters, she said, it's us being pulled to higher frequency and a new bandwidth. Mm-hmm. And so I'm wondering if that's perhaps what you're describing, that lifting feeling.
There is a pull, but it's also the expansion that is within you. So we talk a lot about internal to external. So we were experiencing this, in our mind's eye and still in our physicality, but then we started to see it everywhere in the physical world, where an inner vision of, say, light or an experience, I would then look down at the ground and I would see it on the earth, and it might be golden orange ley lines lighting up that look like a video game, or a dream that we have that seemed to be a dream. And then we would go on a hike and the exact same architecture would be present on our hike.
Right, because you have the living New Earth codes and holding that grid up. So you're the walking codes of it. That's just beautiful.
And that's the thing is, we believe that as we've become these codes, we can share those codes because we know it's a safe passage. We know from other sources that, this is part of what we've chosen for the Ascension. But whether you're, on the twin flame journey or not, these codes are the pure. And it's a wave that everyone can ride for rapid ascension.
Well, I mean, I know there's no spiritual bypassing here. So rapid ascension.
Not a bypassing, yeah.
Right. So I just wanted you to explain what rapid ascension means.
Do you want me to say it? Yes. So, I mean, again, this does come from other sources that as we have become the codes, there's 3 paths to the Christar, which is the pure Christos, seated in our bodies, seated in the earth, seated as above, so below. But this particular twin frequency, because the quantum is higher and because it's in relationship with, the guardians and the deity plane and our full journey of that it provides, they do call it, it's not our term, but it's a rapid re-evolutionary path of ascension.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not our term. It's what we've experienced. And then, we've learned as we look at other things to go, oh, that's what we were up to. Right.
And how I understand the holographic New Earth that we all hold within us and how it is made possible is that many of us and couples like yourself that have these codes that are holding the grid up until enough of us have come up, and then that becomes our reality in totality. And so this is really beautiful, and the work and the honor that I just have for both of you. Thank you. I mean, because I really understand what you're speaking, and it's such an honor because I take my role with great responsibility and integrity. And I know the journey and what you're speaking of. And it's just so important that our audience hears that. And the purity of it is so beautiful.
It's an honor and a privilege. And like we fully participate it, whether we're awake or asleep. We're in active participation, whether it's a friend that comes through with a message. It's all messages, from the divine as we're coming into the collective. And even back on that point where we were working separately, these are some of the other beautiful things that we would see in the inner vision. Is one of our close members that we know we'd be working with, say, in the shield or in these deity planes. They show up in our life in the inner and the outer. And the way that beautiful frequency is passed and shared with everyone and how we're each unique. There's no, there is specialty, but there's no special, and there is no hierarchy because it's total oneness, it's total unity. And that everyone is here to just be exactly as they're divinely designed to be, which, it sounds like, oh, that's a great phrase in a book, but it's actually true. And we see it, and we see it in the light codes. And we see how we work, even within our pair. We function very differently. And one of our friends that we met with recently, I wouldn't even be able to travel up to doing some of my visioning without Ruthie's anchoring energy. And so, again, by design.
Yeah, so some twins are struggling because an Oshi without an Aiden knows that they've got the glorious coding, but they can't actually ground it in to complete the work, gain the magnetic and the electric. So there's very real reasons for this, and they're saying, well, I can't go up because I actually haven't been able to pair up to do the work. And so we've got a lot of stuff that we're looking at with this. I'd really like to talk about the birth of the golden child and the heart chakra of the island.
Please.
That's really a perfect place to go to, Ruth, because for people who don't understand what the golden child is.
Yeah.
Because in religious terms, we have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
Terms that people were used to.
Yes. And in the Trinity that I always speak of, it's Father, Mother, so divine masculine, divine feminine, and divine inner child. So the last creation that we're actually living in had 5 Christs, and it's actually mentioned in original teachings. It's quite rare to hear of it. So the new creation Earth has come in with twin Christs. Okay, it's really important. So Whitney was in Vancouver and birthed the golden child, which was a series of golden dragon eggs being released, and then we were growing it and became it. But I didn't even fully understand it.
We didn't know.
Australia, and I was for myself birthing the new golden child before I even came and did it on my own accord. And it's a labor. You go through it, you birth it in through your solar plexus and out through your heart. It takes hours for it to come up into your higher heart. So these very real operations were going on inside of us. And then when I came over to Vancouver, it was around a month later that I was actually taken to a sacred place that Whitney took me to. And I went into labor of the violet child. And it was, oh my God, I'm sitting.
Wow.
These people are walking around. I'm in the sun. I cannot move. It's like this went on for hours. And definitely 2 twin Christs. And they're a part of this living architecture. So they're whizzing up and down and into these different places, bringing information, bringing coding all the time down through our joint channel.
So after some of this happened, so like I had mine again when she was in Australia, and it was again back to the number 12. I was lying in this river and they were just coming down in and into my heart, and I could feel it. I could hardly move, right? So we've gotten used to a different level of the activation and the frequency, but we weren't quite sure. We only read about it after the fact of what that meant, but it had already happened with us and with a couple of others in groups that we work with. And
do you work with other twin flames?
Well, this is the work that's starting. This is the work that's starting because we've been able to open certain things in the higher realms that people can come into our Christie Castle. So we're going to roll that out just in a minute as well. If we've got
but we have noticed that like a lot of the people, we could see almost like stages that the people that are coming into our lives tend to be on this path in one level or another. So those that are directly in our lives and those that come in the dreams and visions. So it definitely is happening. So we're working with them, or I'll have a client come in and I can tell that they worked with us, in the last week of dreams or daydreams, night dreams. And so we're all working together, from a higher self perspective, but we do still like to bring it down to the understanding. So we know what we're practically doing, and we're definitely doing that as well. But I did just want to say with that golden child, so that is the frequency of like the pure Christos. And it's not child, like the child is the purity and the innocence. So it'd be like the divine holy child. And it comes in literally into the heart, which is bridging us from that lower dimension into the higher as that wakes up within us. We all have that capacity.
We can all invite the golden child right now into our heart centers.
Yeah.
And you'll go through your own birthing process with that new reality. It just tickles with joy and life and innocence, and it's the new creation, Earth. And this is where we got drawn to the heart center of the island.
Definitely.
I've got to tell this, honestly, it was the most amazing thing.
Lost the golden child, that one.
You were saying. So we were taken to Gold River, and it was like, you can't go there. It's going to be, snowing 100%. And we go, I've got to go there. My whole heart sent, my body was just throbbing from my heart. Got to go there, got to go there. It's funny, and child wants us to go there. And it's Gold River is the heart center, heart chakra of Vancouver Island, which is why we're being called here to hold the codes here. And there were another twin set that was called here, but we took up our commission.
without communication.
They went to Mexico and they're working as twin sets, probably doing what we're doing now, but we've taken this. So all of this moving around is very interesting contractually. But Gold River called us and we went up there, and this immense being of love. And we are Orphan, we're angelic humans. We've been looking after with this portal forever. You know, we are guardians of this earth. We're guardians returned. And so this love and this immenseness is, and purity and the rainbow dreaming, everything that is, the diamond,
the living creation.
The living creation. And so when we went there, we're going, well, do we go out to a waterfall as a sacred site? Where do we go? And the new essence just spoke and said, take me wherever you go. And so we've been taking this magnificent energetic portal from the heart center of the island out to Quadra, out to, you know, the Sunshine Coast, out to wherever we've gone. And what it's doing is I do something called the Diamond Heart Rhythm Reset on traumatized children and animals, and anyone really that needs it. And that's what the school does as well. But this resets the heart rhythm. So when you go to a new place, you'll often see the elementals are all over the place. If you have a fire or whatever, they're just smoking out everywhere. It's still quite chaotic. But as soon as you bring this energy in, the rainbow energies, we're actually igniting the dragons, we're igniting the earth, the elementals, the animals, everything goes.
Bringing up to materialization, the dragon.
We're actually feeling the rhythm and bringing the heart rhythm of the rainbow energies into each place. And it's like the old consciousness that's here goes, oh, we were just sleeping, we're just doing our thing. And now all of a sudden this new consciousness comes in, and these periwinkles and diamond sparkles and all the colors of the rainbow resets, and everything tickles, everything wakens up, and then we just take more. I mean, I remember being out one day in the rainforest here, and they called all the dragons and said, what can I do for you? And they said, we want you to recode us into diamond.
Wow.
So they're wanting,
wake up.
Creation is wanting to wake up.
And we're seeing that from the earth. So we'll talk a little bit more about the location that we are, but we'll see, you know, that dormant energy, just like in our body, just in the earth, it will wake up. And then like the God world energy descends, and then here it is in the beautiful harmony. And it's extremely real.
And the location that you're at, is that the resort we spoke about yesterday?
Yes. So a few weeks.
You were called there by, most people would say, spirit. Was it guidance to be there in that location? Because you had mentioned Kuan Yin with me yesterday on the phone.
We've been knowing that something, a big opportunity, a big offering was going to come to us. Yes.
So the activations leading up to, just to give you a framework. So an energy will come in, and Ruthie and I don't always know. And I'm like, something big's coming. Like, I'll start it in myself. And as soon as she joins me, it comes into this precision where then we can complete a series of activations. But in this one particular week, we had 5 in a row. And it's hard to even utter. So we've, you know, that blending of the golden child and the violet child, like the yellow and the violet frequency. So that would have been one. But we had one back to our circular room where we met. We had the 12 different orbs come into each part of our tree of life. So they merged, and we could feel a full DNA assimilation all the way up through. And then, yeah, so this was a very intense particular week leading us up to this place. It's always fairly intense, but this was definitely ramped up. And so then we had the dragons coming in and birthing into our plasma lotus centers, which resemble, you know, like the 7 chakras. But what happens, again, back to even the real purpose of the twins too, just to give you a functionality, is that plasma breathes and expands within ourselves and together. And that's probably part of, to understand that rapid re-evolution. As our plasma goes together, it takes us straight to source. And it's like visiting the crystal, and then that quantum energy then comes back down through us, through all of our dimensions in our being, and it moves out horizontally, available to all, and multiplies by something like a factor of 30.
Right.
So as we've done that, so we're coming up. So we've started to understand the architecture of our being and all of creation as we do it. And so the dragons would then birth in. And then what happened is, again, back to the deity flame, we were led to one of the sacred chambers, and we're sitting in front of like an incredible angelic being and a giant dragon. And we're like, okay. And getting the message, and it was like a dragon master. It's like, okay, well, what does this mean? But then we're having real dreams about the dragon. And then it goes up to the next one where we meet like essentially Kuan Yin and her team of dragons. And then it's a series of joining. It's not just looking at these images. We join and we receive and we become the codes and then take it to the next. So that's that part to you.
Yeah, so we've done all of this opening of our tree of life, which is dimensionals, portals, galactics. All of that is operating as one, as a living creation. Anyway, when Kuan Yin came and wanted to impart herself to me, I go, and I just breathed her straight into my heart. And it's interesting when you look up literature, we're talking about the goddess compassion and all this type of jazz. I haven't heard anyone say what happened to me. So we were on our way out to this property. That morning, I was birthing all morning Kuan Yin into my physical atomic structure. And Kuan Yin came in as Mother Dragon, like a cosmic Mother Dragon. Okay, we're working with dragons at all levels. And she came in and ignited me from the inside out. And so I became like this absolute living creation, living portal. Is where I can feel everything. I can feel everything. It's like everything that you could possibly want. And so when we came onto this property, through a beautiful invitation, it was so right. And this lovely, lovely soul that we work with, we had a portal on the property, but we had to come in and we cleared it first. So we always clear something. We've got amazing clearing thing. Then we brought in the rainbow and heart center, okay, into the property, and it was immense. And then Kuan Yin just went fully activated the crystal castle architecture here.
So just like our internal codes that switched on when we met, now we're experiencing it in the physicality. And just to give you that same frame of reference, like when the golden child and violet child birth, then it'll often be right in our front, right in our face. Then we breathe it in and become it. So we knew what that meant when Kuan Yin is right here. And so it's like it starts to get really close to the field, and then it comes in to our whole being.
Sure.
The power and energy of this place. It was like 1 minute as we were driving in, sort of people, might be running programs or retreats, to essentially the whole creation just toppled over and just became living life, living creation essence in everything that we were meant to. It was like coming into the crystal castle, into the most amazing temple of life that you could ever imagine. This is called the New Jerusalem. This is called the Four Square Architecture.
Crystal Cathedral.
If people want to look it up.
Yeah. And again, like what we would see inside, we could look around, like Ruthie could see the dragons, moving off the water. I could see suddenly where the Crystal Cathedral was working with the emerald frequency and working with the gold, and we're literally with our eyes, where it's waking up from the earth and coming down, from the heavens like that, where the rainbow bridge is, and where like the blue dragons are opening that up to actually, and then mother and father draping around with these magnificent, wings, so to speak, of just holding that frequency, where it becomes a true, like, multi-dimensional representation of what we all are here and now.
Wow.
Truly.
And it's just
so cool. It's so fascinating, you two. It really is. Are you doing sessions there at the resort at the moment? Or like retreats?
Well, we're beginning this new vision off, and this is kind of like our launch into it. It's like, oh my God, this is being shared. This is our work. I think our work is really become very clear to us in that we're absolutely able to turn the light on for people.
I see the sunshine is
becomes very clear.
How beautiful. You look like illuminated beings.
Oh, that's hilarious. We are so grateful. Honestly, this is like the most immense honor and joy, and it's just something that we just want. And please, right now, anyone who's watching, this is an invitation to feel this coding, come into this property. You know, we had a friend of ours, a magnificent beloved sister, who said she's been to just about everywhere in the world and all of the most amazing portals of light, but she said this is the most exciting that she's had, and is so essentially pure, you know, even greater than Glastonbury. So, I mean, we're highly honored to have the type of recognitions, and people will be coming here. I see it as like an immense transit center, because we've got this immense portal just here. We've got portals around. We've got everything that we could possibly imagine. You feel it just by tuning in and get the architecture for yourself. It's incredible. But
do you plan on living there for a little while?
Okay, so what we're planning right now cannot be uttered publicly.
Okay.
So we'll tell you that next time. Okay.
Okay.
But this is absolutely the place that galactic, intergalactic. We all have these unique signatures, angelic beings who have not been able to communicate before in the earth.
The tall light beings.
We were tall light beings yesterday, and we're just like,
it's like when people come in, you know, we've seen this already, but you can see their true signature. Like the five of us were around, you know, just sitting on logs and communing and joining, you know, with the creation, and all of a sudden, you know, we could all see and sense like the light beings going all the way up, and then, you know, out the back, and that kind of thing, just how real it is, our emerald energy joining through our brains and our hearts. And that's the part where we say like the rapid, because it seems to be accelerating so fast. And the more of us that come together that feel called in this way, is just magnificent. It just accelerates it for all of us. And it's so much more fun to share. Like for us to sit and have an inner journey on our own, it was like, well, what are we going to do with this? Like the greatest gift and honor is to share it.
Are you both going to write a book together now?
Well, I have about 3 on the go. So like it's fairly unutterable. A lot of like, you know, writings will come through when we're in this state. But it will be a series of, you know, describing, you know, what we've experienced in the deity planes and what that felt like. And naturally the codes will be shared as people read that. We've even just thought of other modalities, you know, because to create it graphically would just be amazing. And if anyone on here even has a calling toward that, like we could do it as a series of, say, you know, video game, book, you know, in that way that it's available for all to receive. But we're getting so much coding that we're trying to keep up with it. So we definitely need, you know, greater help, you know, from the true team.
Well, if
anybody is listening who has these talents that could assist these two beautiful people, beings with their dream, I can see it as a film.
Yes.
And the colors and the lighting, and oh my, I am just so excited for what you're creating there.
We see this as like I said, the New Jerusalem, the 4 square architecture. It's funny, I've always journeyed the Melchizedek order as of that, you know, into those pure codings and that, and held this lineage. But we are coming together because we hold lineages beyond belief, you know, things that we've been attending to throughout our entire lives. We've been bringing us to this time, and the living architecture is what it's all about. And I would suggest that most of the twin sets that come together, okay, that come out of those former relationships into the twin sets and get this coding bringing to life, is bringing the crystal cathedrals through in all of those different places. Like, this is the greatest Christic move in history. We think that what's happening on the outside of us is the biggest move in human history in the 3D world. We are the greatest move in history. And I just invite everyone to let go of the old work mode, because it's seriously, be a living light code. Don't worry about challenging behaviors and all of that. you ignite this, that falls away really quick because you are already pure with Father, Mother, God, Divine Holy Christ.
And all of this architecture that we talked about, it's every single one of us. It's not a special, it's just what we're doing, right?
Sure, and everybody I'm sure has a different role, and each obviously on
different love
Ascension and New Earth, yes, that we all are playing our unique signature roles to make this all come together.
Yes.
And I definitely feel that you two are doing that for all of us. And I thank you for many who are watching. It's such a privilege to meet both of you. You have beautiful faces and hearts, and you shine. It's just been a fantastic interview, but I do want to spend the last few minutes because I would like to use my platform for you and Whitney and Ruth to tell people about your website, your book, or whatever you want to share and where people can find you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because we're moving into a new area, we're going to be doing, daily podcasting on YouTube, which will share how we do things each day, which just means, what were you dreaming about last night? And then I'll be talking about, and we're just mapping this magnificent, rollout of experience, and just things that we're using as tools will just be naturally integrated that people can actually go, oh, I'll do that myself, or I wasn't paying attention to that and I'll pay attention to it. But we're just wanting people to be active on it and enjoy, because we're in bliss all the time. It's like,
what's the name of your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so that is Project Source, okay, which hasn't got anything up. We'll put this one up as the first one ever. But we are here and intentionally going to be doing dailies on that. And then we'll actually have more serious talking about the daily plan.
Share the whole story, share the practicality, and share like the daily, beautiful stuff to engage with everybody. Yeah, so that's launch point is happening. Where Project Source.
Okay.
Everything's Source. That's definitive. It is about the New Earth leadership. Many of us, about 2 years ago, we were talking about the elephants coming through, and everyone was experiencing an elephant walking into them. Well, I remember that. And it said, I was told, I'm a teacher of the elephants. Well, the elephants are the new leadership, and they are a Christic leadership, okay? We're not here to just we're here to form community, absolutely, and saying hello to everyone that we meet, because that's going to be a brother or sister straight up right there in front of you on your street. But with the New Earth leadership coming through, they're going to be carrying the codes, okay, that are going to bring the design of the New Earth and taking it out and bringing this into manifestation. So it's like, we're really excited. We want everyone to, bring their signatures in and share, but we're going to be doing the galactic stuff. Everyone's going to be coming here. Okay. Everybody, all of those, animals that went through extinction, they're all coming back. All of the elemental kingdoms are being healed. We actually have the power, particularly with Kuan Yin and the Dragons, to work with the 4 elements. And I'm saying today, please, every single one of you light workers, okay, any being that is, a creator, which is all of us, is to, reduce the harm, send the elementals home that are in the chemtrails, everything that's being manipulated, send them home, because you have the authority, okay, because you've got free will on this planet, to send them home. And then these things dissipate, because the new and living creation is so whole and so pure that nothing can stand. Nothing can stand. So sending rainbow, sending the new dragon, sending the new earth elementals that are now here being brought through by Father, Mother, God, it's like, please send them into whatever you see that needs transformation. So you can share in our contact. Yes. So you can find me at diamondmatrixmasters.net. Go ahead. And so you'll find my book, you'll find my healing programs, my schools. If you're wanting to initiate into becoming Christic through that pathway, it's an initiation pathway that is about 30 hours. And then we do healings and setting up people's light bodies, because people still are struggling with things that are quite simple to
But when you
set up.
you know, we've been talking about that. When you come and meet with us, we'll kind of know where you are on the journey, and then we'll be able to direct it, because we're in such a new time.
Yeah.
So all of the work that we've always done. So my work is thechart.ca, just like that. And so we do the work of coming out of duality and trauma and that sort of integration, but we're also extremely excited to just bring in the new of what these activations could be from the pure codes. So we do have platforms for that that are not readily available for you to see at this time, but we can talk about that and initiate that right away.
And are you on Instagram or any other platform that people may find you that may not use Facebook or something like that? So you have your, that they can reach you at?
I do have the Diamond Matrix Masters 333. We'll set all this up though under Project Source.
Okay.
And make it an entirely new thing.
Beautiful.
You can also find me at Diamond Matrix Masters, the Facebook group, where you know me, Anna.
Yeah.
We're always sharing everybody's work, because everyone is just getting exquisite dreams and understandings as to the inner workings. So I share that because we don't get time to.
Oh, it's really cool. No,
out.
it's a good time to mention that. Here comes a big wave of energy. But yeah, a lot of the people on Ruthie's site, Diamond Matrix, it's amazing. It would be like the exact same dream that we just had. You know, it would be like the light codes or what's coming through, or a carousel dream, or, you know, so like, it's just so incredible that, you know, what was like, you know, different to talk about in the past is just becoming that norm. So it's so exciting to, you know, connect and celebrate that with everyone.
How beautiful. Well, I invite you both to check out Soulology Network as well. We are moving from social media onto this network, and it's its own consciousness as well. And it is a place to share
Wonderful.
everyone's unique light and stories like yours. And so whenever you have a chance, come on over and browse around, and everyone that's listening, I'm sure they'll come check you guys out. I honor both of you for your time. I'd love to have you back on here maybe in April of next year after the eclipse. I was thinking it would be beautiful to have both of you back on, okay?
Wonderful. That would be amazing. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Todd, for the vision as well, because this man's been pumping it out for like many hours.
He really has.
Hours he has. Connecting us all together. So grateful for that dedication. And that's what we're all about, isn't it? Bring us all together.
And really, that's what we're doing in our own way, in our unique way. We're bringing us all together.
Yes. Thank you
so much. Have a blessed day, and I will talk to you soon.
Feel your beautiful hearts, souls, everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.